In this lighthearted, holiday-themed comedy, Maverick takes on the role of Phil, weatherman who goes to the front of the Arachnid Empire invasion to cover it. He's joined by Dizzy Flores, played by Gwen Coleth, who then teaches him that the only way to move on is to live life to its fullest. Maverick!
It was the edge of tomorrow.
Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb, babe. I got you, babe.
Kids, better get your booties on because it's cold out there today. It's cold out there every day. This week it was Edge of Tomorrow on Resisting Boredom, where we drink, ramble, and discuss things to help in the never-ending quest of not being bored. I'm Brandon Kaiser.
Josh Jessup.
Kate Coleman-Cole.
Casey Monahan.
Sarah Vakis.
Like I said, Edge of Tomorrow. See, I'm repeating myself already because that's kind of how the movie works. It was directed by Doug Liman, who you may remember from such classics as Jumper. I was waiting for laughs. Didn't get laughs.
Classic?
It's
a horrible movie. Jumper's terrible.
You got a
All right.
grimace.
Book was better.
Jumper's terrible. Anyways, but he did do The Bourne Identity and he did do Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Those are solid to good movies. Anyways, okay. Stars: Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, Brendan Gleeson, Bill Paxton, and Noah Taylor.
Who's Noah Taylor?
That was Locke from Game of Thrones.
Who's Locke from Game of Thrones?
Bruce Bolton's spy guy he sends to the wall. We're going to review this movie now. I will start us off. First off, I wish they would have kept the old name of All You Need Is Kill. I think it would have been a sweeter name than Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow is pretty generic. All You Need Is Kill is weird.
Sounds like a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim Caviezel. But anyways,
It sounds a bit fucking John Lennon-y. Anti-John Lennon.
Nigga John.
right. Anyways, I thought this movie was very well constructed. Everything fit into place for me. I don't know if it made perfect sense, but it did at the time, and now looking back on it, it still holds up to me for the most part. I think a lot of that has to do with Christopher McQuarrie being one of the writers on this movie. He's the guy who did Usual Suspects, very talented writer, so I think he kind of had something to do with that possibly. Could be wrong. Anyways, I think this is probably the best I've seen Tom Cruise in a long time. I thought he was likable and had a lot of, personality, I would say, for the role he's given. He was not jumping on a couch in this movie over and over again every time he came back. Anyways, it also has Emily Blunt being a great female hero to me. Something we don't see a lot. I think we normally get either kind of throwaway female characters or ones that can't be taken seriously, but here took her very serious and I thought she was badass. So, wanted to mention that. I thought the action in this movie was really cool. I thought it was funnier than I thought going into it. There were quite a few moments where I chuckled or laughed, or it's about as funny as A Million Ways to Die in the West, possibly. But
Oh, that's sad.
ooh, see?
That is sad.
But this wasn't supposed to be funny. Anyways,
Oh.
That's the sad part.
I think this movie is paced well. I think everything moves relatively quickly. I like that despite all that, we still get the sort of implied character development from the things said and the way that he keeps going back over and over again. I thought that was clever and cool, and we didn't need a half-hour sequence. We could just have a couple lines telling us about their journeys instead of a long-ass movie, basically. I will say I wish the ending didn't pussy out, though. I'm trying to be as vague as possible. There was a moment this movie could have ended, I kind of wish it would have, but I'm okay with the way it ended. I still enjoyed it and didn't think it ruined the movie, but overall, I just wish they would have went in the riskier direction. But anyways, I really liked the movie. I think this was one of the better movies of the summer. It probably was the best movie of the summer so far for me. So with that, I'm going to hand this off to Casey, who's going to tell you what he thought.
I am.
Or rip apart
Watch
everything I
me.
said.
No, I agree on most of your points. I thought it was well-paced. There was a lot of humor in the beginning, and then, as things got more serious, it kind of died off. But the humor they did was good. It was well-paced and fit exactly the scene that they were doing it. The other thing I liked is that the action sequences were done with a dynamic camera, but not shaky cam. It followed the action, and it rotated and showed you different views without being a dude running along with it. I'm going to have to disagree with you on the Emily Blunt thing.
You didn't like Emily Blunt?
No, I thought she was good,
Whoa.
but I don't think that she was she could have been a better
Be
character.
blunt about it.
She could have been a better character because she was a badass, but then it was just the same badass because of the way that the movie or the story was told. It was
You don't feel
didn't
like
have
she
it.
got any character growth.
Right. She got like 2 seconds. 2 seconds. 2 seconds that were all erased.
Okay,
like
I thought,
30 times through the movie.
but for the viewer, they weren't erased. And aside from that, she had that whole battle that we didn't see on camera, in which they explained how she, killed like over 100 enemies or whatever like that.
Yeah, but you can say the same thing about a post, and that doesn't mean that the post now has character traits.
It'd be pretty impressive.
Like,
that
Post killed over 100 enemies.
Sure. It was there, and 100 enemies ran at it and died. And it has the same impact of someone doing something off camera.
Okay.
You can imply it all you want.
I'm gonna let you keep going. We'll bring that back up when we get to the discussion.
I thought the repeating, other than that, was done well. There was the repeated scenes in the beginning to establish the premise, and then as the movie went on, it was just, we got to see the after effects of them having done it a bunch of times. And I thought that was done really well. I agree with you, the end could have been a little bit riskier, but in the overarching sense, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Nah.
Well, if you have the one and then the other one, and then you could have one that's above those.
I think it was a passable ending.
Yeah,
Oh, it was okay.
but
Could have been worse.
It
could have been worse, and not bad. So I'll pass it off to Kit.
Seems you weren't ready for that exchange there.
We saw this movie. The beginning, where they actually gave a bit of the backstory, I wasn't really a fan of, at least, because it felt like a jumbled mess. They did it through like news things, and they had like sounds in the background. So I felt like, voices talking over the background. I thought I was missing out on something, honestly. But after seeing the movie, I was like, no, I didn't really miss anything. But I kind of had that feeling through a bit at the beginning of the movie. Pretty much, don't shake your head at me. Pretty much, I thought it was pretty good. I like that they used the whole. I like they used the whole going back in time thing, like kind of like Groundhog Day did it.
It wasn't going back in time. It was reliving the same
Reliving the day thing.
Difference.
How they did the reliving the same
You
day.
did say it had dominion over
They
time.
went back in time. They even said it resets back to the day. Resets
The day.
back in time. That's where it's going.
It was time travel.
Dead air.
In a sense, okay.
I like how they used it for action films, because for this action movie, and it was really action for pretty much the battle. I enjoyed that because in Groundhog Day, it was I'll go through it a couple days trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Here he was like, all right, second day, this shit's totally fucked, and then he kind of just sort of realized what was going on.
14 steps left. Go forward 2.
Yeah,
Duck.
I like the action scenes. I like what they were doing with it. It just wasn't grabbing me as much as I kind of hoped, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
But
Kid hopes to get grabbed a lot.
I enjoyed it. I liked all the actors they had for it, even the ones who I can't really tell you what their names were. Like character or like the actual actor's name. I enjoyed everyone in the movie. I thought they were doing a pretty good job.
I did like Section J. I thought they were decent.
Unit J.
Yeah, they were for
Squad. J Squad.
I'm
for not
glad.
major characters. Yeah, they were pretty.
Just
good.
saying, I'm glad they didn't go with the really risk-taking ending, because that would have pissed me off.
That's
But
why they didn't
That's
do
the
it.
difference.
Yeah.
Yep.
that's fine with me. So I thought the ending they had was
Inoffensive.
as good as they could get.
Adequate.
I thought the ending they gave was as good as they could do it. The action scenes were good. The story was.
Unless he went to the other person at the end. That could have changed it too.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The movie
Inside joke.
was.
Just grab that meat and ride it.
An inside joke.
It was alright.
Bad footage.
It was a sci-fi movie.
It's good footage.
It was a sci-fi movie.
I don't really have much to say about this movie, to tell you the truth.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go. That's all I got.
Well then,
All right.
Oh.
Sarah, what you got?
That's me. I thought it was a better than average movie, and certainly better than a lot of the sci-fi $1 million major movies we've been getting.
Cool, $1 million.
Well, you know,
High expenses on that movie.
the big budget.
I know what you're
kind.
saying, yeah.
The big budget sci-fi movies we've been getting, I think this was actually of the better quality than a lot of them. I mean, the beginning montages, there was a lot of really good, like, glossed over character development, which some people like, some people don't. It's kind of it's an easy way to build a movie, and it worked well in this, I thought, especially given the premise. The action was definitely more readable. I do wish Emily Blunt had a little bit more showing of how much she was a badass.
Me too. Oh.
Oh,
You mean instead of just saying the word sex, actually having a sex scene? Or
It's like titties.
Well, I didn't need a sex scene.
I didn't either. I just thought that she could have used the fight scene we get to see 3 times maybe with her, and it could have been more badass.
We'll go into this.
She
more.
did rock that.
Look, obviously this is a hot topic.
I'd go
We
into
will talk
her
about
more.
Emily Blunt.
Well, she was the
in
only
detail.
actual female character in it. There was a side character, but I don't count side characters as actual protagonists.
So
There were side characters.
There was a news reporter in the beginning.
That does not count.
Female actors in this
That
movie
was a
don't
joke.
count.
I felt that the ending, they could have gone riskier, but it was definitely the safe way to go. So they went safe with it. It didn't make sense. It was the only thing that really jumped out with me as being out of the movie setup physics. Overall, I thought it was, again, better than most of the sci-fi we've been getting. Not necessarily the strongest movie, probably not an instant classic, but definitely worth seeing. Josh.
All right, Josh, close us out here.
That's my hair.
Good. We're good.
A little bit. Alright, we got it. Good.
All right. I don't like Tom Cruise. I think I've made that pretty obvious in the Oblivion review, where
I think we got that.
Yes.
I think I made that pretty obvious in the Oblivion review, where
Check that out if you haven't. Actually, it was an
Comment,
early review.
subscribe.
Maybe you don't want to. We were younger then.
last year's Oblivion review.
I don't know what.
But yeah, no, I've never enjoyed Tom Cruise as much as a lot of people did, and I just read an article.
He's so Casper Van Dien.
He is not. I just read an article too about how the internet destroyed Tom Cruise, and it was like this weird. It was a weird article about how basically all that stuff in Oprah and like internet culture destroyed Tom Cruise's career for a while, and that's why we didn't see him for a long time because
I know what article you're talking about.
nobody wanted to put him in anything because we had like him shooting lightning bolts at Oprah and jumping on her couch, even though a lot of things he didn't actually do. It was just clever edits and stuff like that.
Yep.
But no, I didn't like Tom Cruise before that. I never really.
What movie would you say at that point that you kind of just went, I don't like Tom Cruise?
I didn't like
Obviously it had to be
the Mission Impossible stuff. I didn't really like him in any of those. I didn't really like.
I liked 1.
I like
2,
the
and 3
supporting
were
cast in them.
Yeah.
3 is the best.
So, anyway, when I saw Oblivion last year, Tom Cruise. That movie was generic as shit, so it was very easy to not like it. And Tom Cruise didn't really do any help to it because it's Tom Cruise. So when he shows up in the beginning of this movie as like a douchey asshole that you're not supposed to like, I was already
Sold.
Sold. Good.
on that. Like it brought me into it because like here's an actor who I've never really liked in any of his movies, playing a role of someone who I'm not supposed to like right now, and it already kind of like got me into it because he's like an asshole in the beginning. It's just a douchey asshole.
Yeah, it's a redemption tale.
And no, and as he develops, it actually, I liked Tom Cruise in this movie.
Wow.
And I liked the fact that this movie wasn't as generic as Oblivion.
Yeah.
Because you get all the Scientologists doing Scientology movies, or science fiction movies now. There's a lot of
Go there.
They're all doing a lot of science fiction movies now. You got like
After
Earth, and
Elysium.
yeah, you got stuff like
Is
that.
Elysium really?
It was a sci-fi movie.
Well, yeah, it's a sci-fi movie.
But it's
Scientology. Like,
Oh, Scientology?
yeah,
What is a
that's what it-
Scientology movie?
After,
No,
no,
After Earth.
Is it?
After Earth is a Scientology. I never saw After Earth.
All right.
Like millions of
No one
Americans.
saw it.
Yeah,
No one
like,
How about this? Battlefield Earth. That-
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
Wait, is
Let's get a tall
Scientology-
glass of
wait.
pants.
Is a Scientology movie basically just a movie with someone who practices Scientology?
No, it's a movie based around the idea.
Well, no, After Earth is. I just meant Scientology
Featuring
doing
Lola
science
Zeno.
fiction movies. Which,
Yeah, Zeno.
I had no idea After Earth was a Scientology movie, to be honest. I never heard that.
Yeah.
we'll talk later.
I thought you misspoke and then
No.
changed it to sci-fi
Nope.
movie.
No, but I meant.
Well, he did for legal reasons because they'll sue the shit out of us.
And they have no money. They won't come.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'm just saying, like, out of the science fiction movies that have been coming out, because we've seen quite a few new ones coming out in these last few years that are different, that this one actually was an original take on, maybe not like an original story, it's the Groundhog Day story, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's handled very unique. It's fun. A unique way that they took it. I really liked Tom Cruise's character in this. I didn't like the implied character development. That's the.
I'm the only one that said that.
Yeah, the two coins. And yeah, I'm just bringing up the fact that there was like some things that happened that they mentioned. I did kind of like the way they used it though. I didn't so much like the character development that was implied so much as the fact that they showed things were happening that maybe they weren't showing you the whole thing. So maybe there could be a few twists later.
I'm
when
not
you,
really fond of the whole like implied character development, but I do think it worked for this movie
yeah,
because
exactly.
of the premise.
I don't
Alright, maybe
usually.
we'll talk about that again later.
I don't
too.
like it, but I like that they used it in a way that moved the story forward. They didn't dwell on it. They didn't.
Which I thought you guys would enjoy because you guys hate when the movie's too long.
Yeah.
So
And
I
again,
don't think this
that's
movie
why I
was too
expected
long.
you guys.
No, and I don't think
exactly. That's why I expected you guys were
I
fine
didn't.
with
I
it.
thought
think it was too long?
No, I don't mind long movies.
No, I thought the
Yeah.
length of this movie was
It
good.
depends
I
on
thought.
the movie.
Because if they did put the
That's true.
whole like character development stuff in, it would have been way too long.
You shouldn't just say that we don't like long movies. My favorite movie of last year was Wolf of Wall Street. That thing's like 3.5 hours long. It just didn't feel like it. I hate when long movies feel long. So there.
But no, I like the length of this movie.
I like the length of this movie.
And I like that. I did find some problems with Emily Blunt. Like I do agree. I agree with her character not being developed as much, but I also saw in the scope of what she was used for, there wasn't really any way that could happen. So in all, I did really enjoy this movie. I liked everyone in this movie. I loved Bill Paxton's role in this movie is my favorite. Bill Paxton's awesome.
He was playing it up.
Bill Paxton was like just fucking hamming it up, and he deserves to ham it up. He's fucking Bill Paxton. I enjoyed it. But no, good marks all around. Good job, Edge of Tomorrow because after seeing the trailer like 40,000 times, enough time to feel like I was in a Groundhog's Day thing, like watching the trailer over and over and over again. Because after the 40th time, I wanted to see a movie just to get it fucking so I didn't have to see the
That
trailer.
was over.
Yeah, that was basically it. But now that I've seen it,
It had personality.
yeah, it had personality, it had the humor, it was all just a really good all-around movie and way more enjoyable than the trailers at least made it out to me. And yeah, no, good job, Edge of Tomorrow. You won over my sour disposition that I had of it because I saw your trailer too often.
Alright, so anyways, that's what we thought of the movie Edge of Tomorrow. We're going to open up to a couple discussion things, but before we do, there's a couple notes that people wanted to bring up. Just bring them up.
It's discussion time.
You
Yeah.
want to discussion time, but you guys
I
have
thought the
things.
aliens were actually well thought out and a bit different. They weren't Geiger aliens. They were tentacly monsters.
One franchise, those Geiger aliens, and all of a sudden it's too typical.
What is a Geiger alien?
Aliens.
Aliens.
HR Geiger.
Also, I believe it's Giger, guys.
Geiger?
No.
I don't know.
Fuck you.
Yeah, like you know.
Well, like Sigourney Weaver aliens?
He just died.
Yes.
Okay, that's,
He just
let's check
died.
it.
Yeah, he just died,
Yep.
unfortunately.
It is Giger.
It is Giger, I know.
Let's give it a shit.
But I don't know.
But actually, when I was watching
Hold
the
on.
aliens in this movie the entire time,
Right
I kept
there.
on getting on the feel
Sorry.
from
Wyvern.
the squiddies
Alright.
from Matrix. That's what I kept on thinking.
Yeah,
about
me
when
too. I
saw
got
it.
that feeling too.
Oh.
A hot topic while we went through our individual reviews was Emily Blunt and her character role, whatever, in this movie. Okay?
Character role, whatever. Great.
Yeah.
Great strides for women in movies. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, and I'm fighting for this aspect of it too.
She was in the movie or whatever.
She was great in the movie.
Dark
Alright, I really
baby.
liked her character. I thought she did well. I always like Emily Blunt movies, actually.
Good job.
I can't think of a movie I don't like Emily Blunt
Here's the thing.
in, so-
I thought she was badass. I wish we would have seen more of her badass.
I don't disagree with that statement.
That's really all I have to say
I
is that
disagree with that statement.
I wish they had shown more of her being a badass.
Wait,
as
you said you
opposed-
disagree
I
with that
disagree with
statement?
that statement.
So you wanted to see less of her?
No,
No,
I agree. I disagree.
I just said I don't disagree
with how badass she was.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
She was the only motherfucker on that field with a goddamn sword
Yeah, I knew he was
beating
going
the
there.
shit out of
I
me.
knew he was going there.
Of course it was like going there. She was the only person with a fucking sword.
Yeah, she was
doing some sweet.
She was
There were
spinning
like
around.
7 scenes
Yeah.
where
And
she
the
was
only
just
time we
going
see
for
her
it. Sure.
actually kill something with the sword is during one of the training montages.
No, she killed one.
No.
No, she
no.
killed one, and we saw that fight multiple times.
No,
I know.
we also saw that.
She lost the sword, and then she picked it up again to have that badass standing over with the sword.
Yeah,
No,
but later
no.
is they're going through the craters and running
Yeah.
around.
They're trying to find their path.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she's doing doing the jump,
Two confirmed
lateral
kills.
spin.
Okay, we don't need to go over every
It could have been
instance
done better,
of
but-
Emily Blunt badassery here. That's
I'm
not
just
what,
saying, I
I'm
would
gonna
have
do.
liked, during her one fight where she is supposed to be set up as a badass, I would have liked to see her be more of a badass.
The main point of her being a badass was set up at the Battle of Verdun, or
That's
Victory
true.
at Verdun,
Verdun.
which,
We're done.
We're done.
whatever, I know that the
Verdun.
blood of 1,000 Saxon men were spilled there. But they set that up, and then you find out how she killed 100 of the enemy. and
Which was
stuff like-
cool.
Which was cool.
Yeah.
So now that you get her in her normal, not Bill Murray state, she is just maybe a highly trained soldier, but
Yeah.
just another
But
grunt
here's
that
the
thing.
thing,
And
she went through
very
the same
practical.
thing he did, where she gets
But hold on.
the ability to see
Look, she can
how they're
balance on a
moving.
hand. Okay.
No, she's really good, and she does. You see her fight multiple guys. She does fight
Yeah.
that one with the sword. And she's clearly better trained than the other soldiers on the thing. But
Yeah.
the thing is, they still have a huge time manipulated advantage over them, and I think that's kind of what they use her for. It's in the beginning because I understand why she's run by badass, because apparently their version of badass is just she's willing to shoot Tom Cruise in the head over and
Or
over
steal his
Yeah.
power
or
back.
like that's their version of badass to her.
Well,
And it's-
the
But
thing
that
is,
was
they
all
call
good
her-
moments.
And those are good moments to her, but I think the main thing we have to remember is, like, they talk about how badass she is, but she's badass because she had the time travel power at one point and was able
Yeah.
to kill a fuck ton of people. And now that she doesn't have it, we see her more or less exposed in a more vulnerable state. So while she's still way better than everyone else on the field, you gotta remember that she isn't as badass as she's been built up to be, because
I
she
get it.
can't have.
I get
she
it.
can't be. She's
Yeah,
just a
but-
normal dude right now.
I thought it was cool because they were justifying why she was almost super heroic.
Exactly.
To this movie. I thought that was cool.
I got that
they-
immediately.
Yeah.
She did it because she had a power. She doesn't have it anymore. And while she's still cooler than
Aside
everyone
from
else,
being a trained
They
soldier, and
could have established it a little bit better though.
I thought it was established well.
Yeah.
Well, just a little bit longer. Her being badass, jumping over, cutting, cut with one hand, shoot over the
but
shoulder.
here's the thing, she still
and
had
then-
the power armor, she still had the ability to do
but
all
then
of
have
that.
something
She
purely
was way more
random.
badass in the training montage than she
What-
was actually on the battlefield.
But if you look at that-
what in the battlefield gave
But
you?
if you look at that battlefield, look at everyone else in the battlefield
Yeah.
sequence. They're all getting murdered indiscriminately.
Yeah.
There's guys that are just like shit's dropping up. They're getting
Yeah.
killed. She is literally the only one in that entire sequence who drops down, kills a dude, shoots her guns at other people. She
Okay.
kills like 2 people in that sequence.
yeah, she kills
And
two
everyone
minutes.
everyone else is getting murdered indiscriminately in the background for no reason. She is the only one who actually looks like she knows what she's doing. And then it's established later on because she's trained well, but at the same point, despite that training, she can't hold a candle to what she used to be because she doesn't have it anymore.
Alright, so I don't disagree that she could have been more badass. Yes, she could have been more badass. I would have liked to have seen her be more badass. What I'm saying is, it's more than we usually get. She had more character as more of a female heroine than we typically get in movies.
I was
Tom
actually,
Cruise is a female hero.
And she was in huge battle armor. She wasn't in a scantily clad outfit.
I was actually very, very happy with the fact that the romance
I could've-
love story was actually from the man's side as opposed to the woman's side.
That too. Yeah.
She was not the one who got gushy over it. It
And-
was Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys saying she could have been more badass because at a certain point in this movie I thought it would have been awesome if the entire movie would have done a bait and switch and Tom Cruise stops being the main character and she becomes the main character.
I'd have been cool with it.
I thought that would have been awesome to trick people like that, but in a good way, to
That would've
still
been
make it
interesting.
entertaining. Yeah.
Actually, at the end, I was kind of hoping that the alpha would die and she would get.
Well, we're getting into
The
spoilers.
powers,
Yeah.
What you're trying to say is, I wish at the end.
They'd have pulled the bait and switch.
Her plan. I wish her plan would have been the ending and not Tom Cruise's. Right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
I like
agree.
that.
I agree.
That would
I
be
wish it
cool.
would have been the same thing. So, I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying. I agree she could have been more badass. But I was just saying in my review that you guys kept going off of was that I thought her character was much more fleshed out, much more of a badass, serious, seriously taken soldier and stuff than we typically get in
Like a
movies.
veteran.
Than we typically get from a woman in like this.
Yes, exactly.
A female soldier, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was actually like a soldier. She was a soldier first, a female second,
Like,
as opposed
every
to
day of her life
I
for
just
a
want
year
to
was a
make
big-
love to Tom
but
Cruise's
full
span
character.
penis.
But
Yes.
a full character
Yeah.
is what I'm
Yes.
saying. Not like the other chick who was in J Company or whatever, right?
Oh,
We complain about her
Dreadnought
accent.
lady?
Yeah.
Not really.
Well,
Exactly.
she wasn't really a character.
But that's typically what we would get in a movie like this. And here instead we got a
No, we get
full
worse.
main
No,
character.
you'll
female
either get
soldier.
the dykey chick who's like,
Yeah, that's
I just
true.
want to go shoot stuff.
Well, that's an
cut my hair
alien.
Well,
short.
think-
You're
think
going
aliens.
aliens. Yeah, you're going
No,
aliens.
you either get that or you get the chick who's like, but he's so hunky.
Although,
I want to help
actually-
him save the war.
Actually, that's not true. Aliens.
Stop the war.
This is like Aliens in a way because that chick was the dykey chick, and then Emily Blunt was the Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah. She was like, didn't
So
know
this
what
was
she
all right, no, we're
only more badass. It was a more badass version of Sigourney Weaver.
We're stretching into theoretical
All right.
science.
Let's not
All right.
equate
All right,
these two.
I wanna-
It does not work.
Well,
I
first
gotta-
we go to this.
I
You
wanna-
get into that?
I got a point.
I think those are the same thing, actually.
I want to talk about the love story, and it is kind of
Okay,
the same
kind of the
point.
same thing.
Let's-
We're about to talk about.
The
All right. sorry.
implied character
Character
development,
development.
which
Okay.
I think a big part of that was the
First
love-
of all, what we're talking about is due to the premise of the story with him repeating the same day over and over again. We don't see the characters bonding. We just get mentions of it because we're kind of seeing those scenes in more of her perspective as we didn't see it.
It's like
what
a
he
short
saw.
story where you jump into the middle of the action, where you get the backstory kind of while you're getting the action.
And to be fair, a lot of
I like
it,
that.
it's okay doing it most of the time because as Tom Cruise is the only one that's actually getting any. I farted when I said that. Getting any. It was really loud too. Getting any of the development because he's the only one that's actually retaining any knowledge
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. So I like the scenes like that, but
Okay.
near the 75% end of this movie, suddenly there's like Tom Cruise is sort of like digging this chick. And I'm like, all right, I get he spent a lot of time with her, but
Yeah.
the entire time she's been this cold bitch. No, but we get that scene that's kind of drawn out with the like it's obvious. You don't know because they didn't show you, but it's obvious that they've done this.
They've done it before.
Yeah.
Where she gets the look of horror on her face,
when
where
they-
we've done this
yeah.
before.
I like that scene.
No, and I like
Yeah,
that.
that was decent.
And I liked it, but at the same point, at that point, it seemed like he was kind of like just replaying it to like, why won't you love me, sort of stuff.
It was a little like with the whole
no.
wanting to spend the night
That's not how I
and spend
took
the
it.
night with her, where it felt a little like
Oh no,
he
it's
was
all right.
feeling, "You'll love
Hold
me
on.
so
I didn't
much."
get any
No,
of
you're
it.
right. At the end of that, like I thought that's where to go with it. At the
Oh.
end of the scene, they kind of detracted from it.
Yeah,
seemed-
yes.
But that was kind of like the beginning of.
They stepped away from it, but it definitely
yeah,
was
they stepped
implied.
away, but
which,
at-
considering how much was implied in this, the implication is enough to skeeve me out a little
which
bit.
is why by the end of the movie, where it's like clearly like it was kind of weird that because there was no chemistry between them at all. At all.
Really?
No, I mean, no, like
It
other
was in
no,
2-second forced snip.
there were
Yes.
there were two people that were like, let's fight aliens, let's win stuff, and yeah, I have a penis, you have a vagina,
Okay.
maybe there's a thing there, but it always seemed like they were just at the base core of this was just a guy and a girl. They're both soldiers, or at least one whiny dude and a soldier who were trying to save everything.
And then also
Okay.
there's the one leading to the farmhouse scene. It kind of adds another skeevy light because he's fishing for information.
That is true. He is
Which
fishing.
means when you
He's expecting to die so he can use it later.
Yeah.
So he's fishing for information to create an artificial
I don't think
the
he was.
Aperian
Okay, I don't think he was
appearance.
100% fishing for information. Some of that I think
He
he, did know.
specifically said, "You told me your middle name."
No. That was
But
the
he
one
knew
where he was
the-
fishing.
he
The
knew
other
the sugar
story,
thing.
he explained the payoff that she kind of agreed was what the
But
story
then when
was.
you combo those together, that means he's gone through how many other iterations?
But I thought
He's
that was
fished
interesting.
for different, but that also proves that he has spent multiple iterations
Yeah.
fishing to
Okay.
create an
All right,
artificial emotional relationship.
Exactly. And when
Well,
you're
here's the thing. It's
when
not
you're-
an artificial emotional relation for him. He's seen her die how many times? He's tried to protect her. But the
Yeah.
problem is, she's still a soldier.
Yes.
And she does not see this as anything other than a military operation.
Exactly, and I like that dynamic because he's trying to save her. He's trying to be like the hero guy and like get the girl at the end and all that shit. And she's really just like, fuck it. If I don't make, and they at the end of that scene I said where where it looked like they were heading for this implied like relationship where they skewed off. That's her going, I don't give a shit. I expect to die. Let's get it out.
Okay.
Yeah, these
Couple
aliens didn't
things.
die.
Couple things I want to mention based on this that aren't really what you guys are talking about is the reason I liked this implied sort of thing is because it left it up to your imagination to imagine what those versions were. Those like
My
tips that we
imagination
didn't
to
see.
imagine?
It's like Groundhog Day. We keep comparing this to Groundhog Day, but we didn't see every day that Phil Connors goes and relives the same day. We had our imagination of maybe some of the things that happened in those. But we had that here in terms of their relationship dynamic. We had the mentions of, oh, well, you liked me later in the time or whatever. You told me this story, you know, we got along nicer then and all that kind of stuff. You got all that. You could then imagine how that would have went. And how that would have went.
Yeah.
Right? So it to me it helped because it left it up to me. It could be however I wanted it
There
to.
is the implied relation, like him and J Squad. There's an implied relationship
Yeah.
that he's gotten to know and befriended at least
Yeah.
every person
Yeah.
and all that
Yeah,
stuff. I like that.
I like that it was up to me to just,
Like, well, at least that they didn't show it. Like, they didn't need to show it. And I
Yeah.
like that the scene where they showed the guy like because
The
he
fist
sneaks,
fight with the
because he
closed
sneaks away and
eyes.
stuff. Because I
Yeah.
like that they didn't show it until like halfway through the movie. That
Yeah.
obviously there were repercussions from him ditching out on
Yes.
everyone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like stuff like that. What I didn't
Me
like was
too.
suddenly like. Because it just kind of comes out of nowhere, like the first sexual tension moment between the two
Okay.
of them. That
Well, here's
literally
the thing,
kind of just
though.
comes
Here's
like
the thing, though.
he's like,
At
I'm
what
on top
point-
of you,
At
and
what
it's like
point did he
really?
befriend
I don't
the guys
remember
in
that
J
at all.
Squad?
when he like grabbed her.
They didn't
Yeah,
show
so
anything
get her
about
out of the
that.
way.
Yeah.
Wait, he grabbed her to get her out of the way.
Yeah, but then he
There was
held her.
lingering.
No, there was a lingering holding.
There was lingering,
After
Jerry.
rolling-
There was lingering.
That was a connection, though,
Yeah, that
because
was
of
a-
everything they had gone
That was
through.
a linger.
That's the other thing I wanted to say.
There was
you
a
guys,
connection for him.
you guys keep talking about this almost, but you guys keep talking about this almost obvious love
Almost
story.
rapey scenario.
Aside from one like good luck kiss, none of that has ever paid off to like prove that it works out.
But it's very obvious that he falls in love with her.
True. Or you get that impression, anyways.
Yes.
I don't know if he
It's
does.
obvious.
Oh yeah.
At
He
the
wouldn't
end,
go finding her at the end of the
No.
movie. The
If he didn't like care for
If
her,
you
he
spent
wouldn't.
time with someone, you wouldn't go back and tell them, I'm going to tell you about how we actually did this. You wouldn't do any of that?
none of it was that naked fat dude.
I think our problem here with the implied character development thing comes from perspective. The way you guys are talking about it is you're seeing it as almost a kind of nefarious thing where he's trying to worm his way into a relationship with her. But that's not how I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it as they've had this connection before and he wants to keep having it. She doesn't remember it, so she doesn't have the connection. So he's bringing up the things that they've discussed in order, like a way to prove to her that, but we did connect, and I'm trying to prove it to you that we did at one point. I'm not seeing it as an evil thing where he's like, oh, I'm gonna worm my way into
Here's
this
the
relationship.
exact
with you."
problem with implied character development. It's implied, which,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, allows us to have our imagination show us what is going to be developed. The fact that they don't explicitly show us her giving consent at any point. They don't show us her falling in love with him. They just show us him.
Mhm.
And that's it.
Or-
So we don't know if he's skeeving on her or if he's actually in a relationship with
Because
her.
we do see
Okay.
the one scene we do see, he is totally fishing for it.
Yeah, and
And
the
also-
problem is the thing that we are shown, the concrete thing we are shown is him kind of being skeevy.
And
So
also-
I mean, what are we supposed to know? We
But
know
that's-
he's
that's
kind of a dickhead from his beginning.
But that's
But-
pre-character
yeah,
turn,
but
though.
we
to me.
also
like,
know-
I thought the character turn happened before what you're talking
Well,
He
about.
no,
may not even intend to be skeevy as he does it, but he has gotten all of this information and he has built this entire emotional relationship
That she doesn't
they're a
know
part
about.
of from his
Okay.
point of
I
view.
think he was just curious.
So why is it okay for Phil Connors to do this
That-
and not Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Who's Phil Connors?
Groundhog's
Groundhog's
Day.
Day.
Groundhog's Day. It's more or less like
Please
in that
don't
movie.
question
During the
this.
car
The
ride.
whole point of that movie was he was
knows
finding
how
out
long
the
it'll
perfect
take.
day for
He was
Annie
just trying to
McDowell.
figure out more about her. Like, oh, we're in the car, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious about you, like about all this stuff. And she even mentioned
Oh, because she was down the fuck Bill
He
Murray.
even mentioned something. That she was like, "Who told you? Like, when did I tell you that? Under what circumstance did I tell you that information?" And he was like, "I was just curious."
And
Well,
also,
I haven't
it
seen
is-
for a while.
it is
probably
questionable.
is skeevy.
I saw it as
It is still questionable in Groundhog's Day to use godlike repeated
you
powers.
can be, yeah, but I
So
don't know.
it's not
maybe
okay.
Maybe I just see the positive in it. I think we've proven that this is a matter
Yeah,
of
it is,
opinion.
don't give a fuck.
So this argument's kind of pointless at this point. So why I said this in the review was I like this aspect of giving us enough clues to make our own opinions of what was going on there. That's what I was saying. Now, I'm not saying that you're wrong for thinking that he's being this nefarious person trying to, you
I'm
know,
not saying it's nefarious.
or
I'm
whatever
saying
you guys are trying to say.
skeevy.
If you guys think that, that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm
don't
just
think
saying I
it's nefarious at all.
enjoyed.
I even agreed with you. I think
That's
the
not
implied
what
stuff
I'm
worked.
I'm saying I enjoyed that they were giving some legwork to the audience.
Yes,
it wasn't
the-
all on screen.
The
very
storytelling,
typically.
the storytelling structure
Works.
did imply in the other situations where he would gain the information.
It worked. It did work.
There was
with the
enough
situation.
clues for you to make a leap of
I'm
judgment.
saying with
or
the
whatever.
love story, it
My
came
leap was
off a
okay.
little weird.
Okay,
I don't
however
even
you
think
view
too
it,
much about the love story.
however you view it is fine. Yeah, I thought it was a very subdued
Yeah,
love story, and I
it is.
liked
Yes.
that
Yeah.
it wasn't over the over the top.
We're all
Let's
agreeing.
just get the picture on there. Over the top. All right. Anyways.
Only you
Let's
cares
get-
about it.
Let's get to the ratings of this
You don't
movie.
care.
All right, this time we are rating this movie based
Oh.
on a scale of Tom Cruises. So how
Cool.
many Tom Cruises out of 5? Should I
Am I
start?
first?
I was first.
It's not to be in order of the way we.
All right, I'm just gonna try to wrap this up. I gave it 4.5 Tom Cruises out of 5. Whoever.
3.5 Tom Cruises. I'd watch it if it showed up on a movie channel again.
I gave this 3 Tom Cruises. It felt the same as watching the trailer.
3.5, maybe 4. Definitely better than average, but not a classic.
I'm gonna give it the 4.5 Tom Cruises. I really enjoyed this movie.
Me too.
As a
I
non-Tom
felt
Cruise
dejected.
fan
Yeah, that's true. If you don't
And-
like Tom Cruise and you
and
like
s-
the movie,
and a science
Yeah.
fiction movie
No.
fan to begin, like this movie, and I like Groundhog's Day. Like this, this movie targeted like several parts of my pleasure center in my brain.
Except for
And-
Tom Cruise, and even that surprised you.
yeah, and mainly the fact that it could take something I don't like and go right in your fucking brain
They,
part.
they did the little.
They
And-
had the second finger and I was on board.
All right.
I can't
it
knock
was
it.
definitely a
I will
solid
say-
movie. It was definitely very solid. You should see it.
I will say though, I usually do like Tom Cruise, and I still really like this movie, so that's not necessary. But
I think he's a good set dressing, and then the rest of the movie happens around.
he can be good. He gets a bad rap.
I don't care
Anyways,
about
all
his
right.
personal life.
So in general, me
Oh,
and
man.
Josh really liked this movie. Everyone else was kind of lukewarm on it, crossed with liking it, I guess.
It's above average. Definitely above average.
Luke, I thought it
Okay,
was
so
average.
look, obviously, in some ways, we all think this is probably worth your time. So if you want to go see this movie, go ahead and do that. If you've already seen this movie, comment below and tell us where
If
we're
you're
wrong
bored,
or
If you're
right.
in the military,
If you're bored, go to the
If you're in the military, let us
definitely
know.
tell us.
I don't know if we will this time, but we're going to be bringing back the audio podcast, so be sure to look for that someday. Otherwise, you can download all the old episodes that we had if you've just discovered this YouTube page. Otherwise, find your own ways of resisting boredom.
Have to show just a beginner to a pro.
You need a montage.
A montage. To write a montage. I can feel it coming back again, like a rolling thunder chasing the wind. Was ruined from the center of the earth.
That was the break point, guys. That was the break point. You ruined it. You excited for that movie?
Yes,
The Gem movie?
sadly.
Well, she's outrageous.
Truly.
Truly.
Outrageous.
Outrageous.
Oh my god.